When people think of Harvard, they imagine students from elite schools, perfect SAT scores, and polished resumes. No one expects a cab driver to walk those ivy-covered paths. But then again, real life doesn't always follow a script. Meet Carlos Ramirez, a name that now echoes through the halls of Harvard University, but it wasn't always that way. Carlos came to the United States from El Salvador when he was just 17. He had no money, no fluent English, and no formal education beyond middle school. But what he did have was a dream, a mother who believed in him, and a work ethic that couldn't be broken. His first job: washing dishes at a small diner in Queens, New York. The pay was minimal, the hours long, but Carlos never complained. "I was just thankful to be safe and have work," he says. But even in those early days, he used to carry a small notebook in his apron pocket. During his breaks, he would scribble English words, motivational quotes, and big dreams in that notebook. One winter evening, a coworker told him about a friend who was making good money driving a cab. Carlos had just gotten his driver's license. With a borrowed $300, he rented his first taxi. The next 5 years were brutal. Carlos drove 12 to 14 hours a day, rain, snow, or shine. He'd drop off Wall Street bankers at million-dollar offices in the morning and pick up drunk college kids at 2 a.m. Sometimes he'd go 20 hours without sleep. But he used his cab as more than a car, it was his classroom. He'd listen to audiobooks, biographies, economics, science, politics. He practiced English with passengers. Some were kind, most ignored him. But every ride was a step forward. One night, an old professor from Columbia University got into his cab. The man was impressed with Carlos's fluency and vocabulary. "Where did you go to school?" the professor asked. Carlos laughed. "I never did. But I read a lot, in traffic." That ride changed everything. The professor handed Carlos a card. "Come see me. You shouldn't be behind the wheel your whole life." Weeks passed. Carlos hesitated. What could a poor immigrant cab driver possibly do at a university? But something inside him burned, a fire he had fed for years. He visited the professor, who connected him with community college resources. Carlos enrolled part-time while still driving nights. His grades? Straight A's. Within 2 years, he transferred to City College of New York. He majored in sociology, studied urban inequality, and started writing essays about the immigrant experience. His professors encouraged him to aim higher. At first, Carlos laughed at the idea of Harvard. "That place isn't for people like me," he'd say. But by now, his mindset had changed. He applied. He wrote his story, the real story, about being a teenage dishwasher, a cab driver, a self-taught English speaker, and a relentless learner. And then, the letter came. "We are pleased to inform you." Carlos dropped to his knees and cried. Today, Carlos Ramirez walks the campus of Harvard University with pride. He wears no fancy clothes. He doesn't pretend to fit into the Ivy League mold. But when he speaks in class, people listen. Not because of his accent or vocabulary, but because of his perspective, one earned through hard work, humility, and hunger for knowledge. He still drives a cab sometimes during holidays, not because he has to, but because he wants to remember where he came from. Carlos is now studying to become a policy advisor. His goal? To help reform education access for immigrants and low-income families. He wants to be the bridge between the streets and the system. The lesson. Carlos's journey teaches us something vital: your circumstances do not define your potential. Your choices do. You can be surrounded by noise, chaos, and struggle, and still find a way to learn, grow, and rise. You don't need a perfect background. You need purpose. You don't need permission to dream big. You need courage to chase that dream, even if it means taking the long road. Carlos didn't wait for opportunity. He created it, one ride, one book, one choice at a time. And if he can do it, so can you.